Welcome to this lecture. So in the previous lecture we completed in the case of the client where we just made this command to execute. You could see clearly we have made use of this popen function in order to execute this program, and over here you could see this standard out and standard error and standard basically that is in has same arguments, that is pipe. That means it should open the pipe for this command. And next one over here is your read method in order to decode it, and basically we get that command and we just check for the output. So this was the case, and if you see here this has this standard error. That means there will be same handler for this standard out and standard in. So that is the way to use that pipe, because we want this pipe to be opened while executing this command, which is cd command over here. So we have completed this section of the client in the previous lecture. Let's go to the Kali Linux and see where we can just add some of the code. So I have kept here the blank spaces for that to receive some of the command to the server from the client, or basically to get bytes of data from the client to the server. So first thing what we need to do here is I'll just make the default here. So let's go. Okay, we are right in this string command. So before that, let me just complete over here. So here what we want to do is we'll just make this default first, and it will be string. And in this default I'll just concatenate with this /n. Okay, and now what you want to do is we want to decode it with this decode utf method, and that should be done with receiving that integer buffer which was sent from the client. So we sent this integer buff, and basically we have to receive first, and after we receive it we'll just get that into the buffer and we'll just concatenate with this hash. So basically we are just setting this default. Basically it means this is what we'll see as a default when we just open your cmd. So first of all we have to just type this command, that is /e, and this will be the default what it will come when we just execute the first command. So we just set this to the default, which is basically the path to the default, and the next thing is to print that. So I'll just say print str default, and here I'll just give this int to be the same line, because we want to print in the default prompt or in the same line. So next thing what you need to do is just go over here, and after we just get to see that the command is greater than 0, that means this is the command that is to be executed on the client. We have sent that command. Now it's time to get the response from the client. So we have seen how to just get the response from the client before too, but you can see we have got now in the form of bytes of data, and we have encoded that buffer and we have sent this to the server. Now let's cache that first. So what I'm going to do is I have to decode first. So I'll just say that decode the information that is sent, and so basically we have to receive that. So I'll just say just receive that buffer which is sent from the client, which is int buff, not the buffer, and that will be received with this receive method, and we'll just decode it and we'll just convert it to the integer. So next thing is we have this string client response. So let's make this string client response. So what this is going to get is it is going to get your buffer. So let's see. First of all we have to also decode this, because this is also sent from the client, and in this case it is the buffer. So I have already said you before that if you just get this integer buffer, it is to be done by this receive method, but if you are getting large amount of bytes of data, you have to use this receive all method, which is going to get us the buffer. So it is the integer buffer now in the case of receive all. So the next thing is to just print this, and I'll just say string rest client response should be printed, and here I'll just say that I want to just print in the cmd format or the cmd output. So this was basically to print cmd output. So we just get that cmd output. Now let's see for the else part, that is to print string that is default, that is sent in the same line, and that should be right here. So now we have completed this response. Now let's see if this works or not. So let's check one more time what we just did here. So we just get the command first of all from here, that is, you can see, okay, that is it here. So after we just get that dash dash e command, it is going to execute this command shell. It is going to give this cmd information is encoded form to the client. Let's go to the client, and client is going to get that over here, that is this cmd. It is going to call this command shell, and command shell will check that data that is sent from the server, and it will just decode it with this decode utf method, and it will just check that data. If that is go back, it will just change the directory. If it is cd or csdir, it is going to execute it is something that is the execution same as in the case of a command prompt. And if it is the case that the length of the data is anything that is greater than 0, it is also doing the same process, but in this case it is not directly executing the cd command, it is executing in this pipe, which is basically saying that we want the pipe to be open to execute this command. And if you see that standard error over here, that is to be handled as for the standard output. So it should be handled same as the way that this standard output is handled, which is the pipe method way, and pipe is open for each of these cases. And in this case we are just encoding what we just get, and we are creating that buffer, we are sending that buffer, and in order to receive that buffer we have made use of this receive all method, which was created over here, right here, which is right over here, in order to get that byte of data, and we just encoded it and we just print it. So let's see if this works or not. So first of all, let me just run in here, that is run, basically it is backdoor. So let me run my backdoor over here. So let's see if this works or not. So let's close this first, again run one more time, that is our backdoor, stop and rerun, and it is saying it has again the error, maybe our internet connection is down. Okay, it is connected. Let's see if this works or not. So let's go and let's go for the client part. Let's save this first, and let's see, let's run the command prompt again, desktop, and here I want to run my backdoor, which is this file, and it is giving us a error that the standard output over here is invalid. So let's see, that is in the line 93. So it is giving over here that the read, after we just read it, okay, after we just read it, it has to be closed right here. Now let's save this, and let's see here too, we have decoded right here. Okay, this should be fine. So let's run it one more time. Let's go over here again, let's run it. Okay, it is working now. Let's see if we have any connections or if we just get any error. So it is only listening to the port. Okay, so that means we are getting some error. Maybe this was the error that we just got because of these connections. Let me run it one more time. Maybe we can just clear this and run right here, which is to run the backdoor again, stop and rerun. It is saying that it is not valid, or basically the exception is catching classes that do not inherit from the base exception. So let's go here, and that is our method. So I didn't find any error, so let's invalidate the cache and restart, and let's see if this works or not. So let's terminate first, and okay, disconnect or terminate. So let me just run it one more time. And our client is up and running, so we don't have any problem in our client, so it is perfect code. So let's see what we can do in the server. So it may still be giving us the error. Let's run it again one more time. Let's run this backdoor file, and yes, this is running. Let's go over here, let's run this one more time. That is our Python backdoor. Let's see if this has connection. Okay, we have a connection. So I didn't do anything, I didn't made any changes in the code, so code was perfectly fine. You can only simply change that, because that was not the error we just got from the code. So that would be the error because of these interfaces, network interfaces. So sometime you can only restart that machine, or sometime you can also make a refresh to the network interface, and something like that will work. So there is nothing to worry about the code. So if you want to get the reference from the code, you can also get from the resource section. So first of all, let me just interact again with this interface, which is our one interface. So here the type selection, now it will be E, which I'll just make confirm. So I just forgot what we have kept. So that command was after the screenshot, maybe. Okay, before the screenshot. So it was where it was right here. So E was the command. So let's type this and let's hit enter, and it is giving us this remote shell. So you can clearly see this is the window machine, this is not the Kali machine format. This is the window machine, that is C user, my username, and the desktop. If I just say dir command, which is to list all the directory, and it is giving error again. So that means there is a error to receive, and that should be because of here. And okay, it is saying object command is not defined, so that is error in the line 102. So let's go over here. So it is at the 102, and it is saying that object command is not defined because O was in uppercase. Let's save this again, and let's see. Okay, it has error over here too, but it hasn't shown, but it should have given us error. So let's save this one more time. Let's confirm this, there is no more error or typos. Let's save this and let's go back, execute our payload. So before that, we can just start the Python first, or basically on the Kali. So I'll just close this, I'll just rerun it, and now we are just listening on the port. So let's run our backdoor on the window machine. Let's go over here, let's list these connections, and there is the active connections. So let's interact with this, and the command here will be E command, and we are getting this desktop now. Let's write dir command, and this is not giving. So let's see cd command, and this is working. So dir command is not working, that means we still have the problem in here, and it is saying object command is yet not defined. Obviously maybe the cd is working, but the dir is not working. Dir command is not working, but the cd, if I just go to desktop again, then we can change here. Now you can clearly see we have changed, but if I type dir, it is not working. Let's go to our code, and if I say dir, then this should be executed, and let's see what we have here. So we have, that is the shell to execute that with the standard data. And so the one error that I just found was we have not included that is the standard error to be run with the same standard out, that is to handle both over here. So let me just type here, that is object command, which should be standard read, and basically we'll just decode that and we'll just send this output. Maybe this was the error, let's check. So I haven't checked it yet, so let's save this first and let's see if should work. So I'll just say Python, and our name is a backdoor, and let's go over here, and we haven't we have got no error now, it has not shown any error. And now let's run this one, there is a connection, so let's list that. Okay, in order to list, basically first of all we have already the connection established, that means we can directly interact. And now we have this type selection, let me say E. Okay, it is running, let's see if this dir works or not. Okay, now we have the dir command working. So the error was obviously about that, and let me show you that the error was due to that file in here, because of this command that was not executed properly. Now we could see that our command or our file, Python file, has executed this dir command on this client. So you could see this is the format that is of the Windows, so this is not the format for this Kali machine. We were running this in the Kali machine, and this is the file format for the window machine, which will be obviously our this test machine, which is window machine. If I just if I just go to the dir, which is obviously the current working directory, and now if I say something that is again the dir, if I say dir again, you could see it has the backdoor file, which is our main backdoor file. It has this file, main backdoor file, and it has the two directory. You can just navigate to that directory.